The highway was nearly silent at this hour. Just the low hum of night wind brushing against the concrete walls and the soft glow of sodium lights flickering above the old San Arlo Tunnel outside San Diego. Officers Lena Hart and Mia Torres had driven this route 100 times. Routine, predictable. A stretch of road where nothing ever happened. Until tonight. As their patrol SUV slowed near the tunnel entrance, a mangy, dust-covered stray dog burst out of the dark shoulder and planted itself directly in front of their vehicle. Not running, not scared, just standing there. Hackles raised, tail low, breathing fast, as if its entire body was one desperate warning. Lena tapped the horn. The dog didn't move. Its amber eyes locked onto theirs with a haunting urgency that made Mia's stomach twist. Then, the ground trembled, just a shiver. Barely noticeable, but the dog noticed. It spun toward the tunnel, barking violently, then turned back to them, barking again, almost pleading. "What is it seeing?" Mia whispered. A second tremor came, stronger. From inside the tunnel, a chilling metallic sound echoed out. Crack, groan, crk, like steel struggling under unbearable weight. The dog took 3 steps toward the officers, then looked back with a raw, unmistakable message. "Don't go in there." And in that split second, both women realized this stray wasn't trying to attack them. It was trying to save them. Officer Lena Hart had always trusted logic. 8 years on the force had taught her that most things had explanations. Simple, grounded, rational. Her partner, Officer Mia Torres, was different. Mia felt things, shifts in the air, tension in people's voices. The kind of intuition Lena often brushed off as gut guessing. Yet somehow, their differences made them a perfect team. Tonight's patrol had been like any other. Slow traffic, radio chatter fading in and out, a few noise complaints, nothing unusual. The stretch of road leading to the old San Arlo Tunnel was known mostly for bad cell service and the occasional stalled car. Still, both women felt the heaviness of the place as they approached it. It wasn't the tunnel itself. It was the silence around it. Most tunnels had echoes, airflow, the buzzing of passing cars. This one felt empty, as if the air didn't want to move. The orange streetlights above it flickered like candles, fighting a breeze that didn't exist. Mia glanced at them through the windshield. "Still broken," she murmured. "Public Works says it's just old wiring," Lena replied, though her eyes lingered on the lights a second longer than usual. She couldn't explain why her pulse had quickened. Their SUV rolled closer, tires hissing on the pavement, the radio crackling with static the moment they neared the tunnel, something that happened almost every night shift. The department blamed interference from nearby utility lines. Lena never questioned it, but tonight, the static felt sharper, almost like a warning hiss. "Did you feel that?" Mia asked suddenly. "Feel what?" "Like..." The ground moved. Lena inhaled deeply. Probably a truck somewhere. But both women realized moments later. There were no trucks, no cars, no engines. The whole highway was still. That was when the stray dog emerged. It stumbled from the brush as if chased by something invisible, ribs faintly showing under its matted fur. The creature didn't behave like any stray they'd seen. No fear, no hesitation. Its attention was fixed entirely on them, on the tunnel, on something beyond their understanding. Mia leaned forward. "Lena, look at its posture. It's not begging. It's trying to tell us something." Lena tried to swallow the unease rising in her chest, because deep down, she felt it too. Something was wrong with the tunnel tonight. Something the dog had sensed, long before they did. The dog stood rigidly on the asphalt, every muscle pulled tight like a bowstring. Its fur, patchy, sun-bleached, and clumped with dried mud, fluttered in the faint breeze drifting out from the tunnel. One ear was torn, hanging like a weathered flag, But its eyes, those amber eyes glowed with something far more intense than fear. They glowed with alarm. Mia stepped out first, her boots crunching softly on loose gravel. "Easy, buddy," she murmured, palms open, keeping her voice steady. She'd handled aggressive dogs before, but this wasn't aggression. This was panic, shaped into a living creature. Lena stayed by the door, one hand near her vest light. Her gaze tracked every small movement, the dog's trembling paws, the shallow rise and fall of its chest, the quick flicks of its ears toward the tunnel, like it expected something to emerge. The stray let out a short, sharp bark, then another. Then it lowered its head, emitting a low, warbling growl that didn't feel threatening. It felt urgent, as if the warning was not directed at them, but for them. "It's trying to block us," Mia said. "That's not how strays behave," Lena replied, furrowing her brow. "It should be scared of us, not whatever this is." The dog took 2 deliberate steps closer, then whipped its head toward the tunnel. Its entire body stiffened, tail tucked. A whimper escaped its throat, thin, broken, almost pleading. Lena shined her flashlight toward the tunnel mouth. Dust drifted lazily in the beam like falling snow. The concrete arch looked stable enough, but the deeper her light stretched, the more the shadows seemed to fold in on themselves. She could almost feel the air shift, colder, heavier. A faint tick, tick, tick echoed from inside. Mia paused, listening. "That doesn't sound like dripping water." "No," Lena said softly. "It doesn't." The dog's ears flattened. It barked sharply at Lena's legs, then ran a few feet away, toward a thin dirt slope beside the tunnel, before circling back with frantic insistence. It repeated the pattern again. Faster this time, as if begging them to follow. Mia exchanged a look with her partner. "I think it wants us off the road." "Why?" Lena asked. "What's in that slope?" "Maybe nothing," Mia said, her voice tightening. "Maybe everything." A sudden gust rushed from inside the tunnel, bringing with it the metallic tang of rust and something else. Something stale, buried. The dog reacted instantly, lunging in front of the officers again with a bark so forceful it echoed against the concrete walls. Lena's heartbeat thudded harder. She tried to reason with herself. Dogs could be skittish, driven by instinct, reacting to sounds humans couldn't hear. That explanation should have calmed her. But tonight, it didn't. Because the dog wasn't reacting randomly. It was making choices. It was trying patterns. It was watching their movements with sharp, deliberate intelligence. "Look at the way it's breathing," Mia whispered. "It's terrified, but it's not running away." Lena slowly crouched, keeping her flashlight low. Hey, boy. What's going on with you?" The stray didn't blink. Its gaze flicked back toward the tunnel, then returned to her. The message was clearer than any bark. "Don't go inside. Follow me. Now." A small cloud of dust drifted from the tunnel ceiling, catching the light like glitter. It fell in slow motion, and the dog jerked backward, as if slapped. Mia inhaled sharply. "Lena! Something's shifting in there." The radio on Lena's shoulder crackled violently, static ripping through the silence, before dying completely. The dog whined again, and for the first time that night, Lena felt fear crawl across her spine like cold fingers. Whatever was happening inside that tunnel, the dog had known long before they arrived. The dog's bark cut sharply through the dead air, bouncing off the concrete walls like a ricochet. Mia felt the sound in her ribs more than in her ears. Something about it wasn't normal. There was a tremble, a strain, as if the animal were forcing its voice against something pressing on its instincts. A moment later, the ground shivered. Just a slight tremor, but enough to send loose pebbles skittering across the asphalt. Mia's hand shot out, bracing herself on the patrol SUV. Lena froze, her flashlight beam dipping as her fingers tightened around it. The dog reacted faster than either of them. Its body pressed low, tail curled, ears flat. It barked once more at the tunnel, then whipped around and stared straight into Mia's eyes. Not a wild stare. Not panic, a message. Don't take another step. Mia swallowed hard. Lena, did you feel that? Before Lena could answer, another sound rolled out from inside the tunnel. A long, spine-tingling crack, like steel under slow torture. Lena aimed her flashlight deeper, the beam cutting a pale line through the dust-filled air. She stepped forward by instinct, an officer assessing danger, trained to walk toward the unknown. But the dog snapped. It sprinted toward her, barking so violently that saliva flicked off its jaws. It skidded in front of her boots, blocking her path, chest pressed low, snarling, not at her, but at the darkness behind her. It doesn't want you going in, Mia said, voice tight. That's crazy, Lena whispered, though her feet refused to move. The radio on her shoulder let out a sudden burst of static. Shrill and distorted, like something trying to break through. Then it cut out completely. Mia tapped hers, nothing but silence. The deeper they looked, the more unsettling it became. Dust drifted from the ceiling in thin threads, floating down like ash. Farther inside, a metallic beam glimmered in the flashlight, then twitched. Did that move? Mia whispered. Lena didn't answer. She was staring hard, narrowing her eyes. A faint, hollow ping echoed through the tunnel, as if something heavy had struck a support beam. Then, another tremor, stronger this time. A chunk of concrete the size of Lena's fist broke off the upper wall and shattered on the ground. Mia jerked back. Okay, we need to call this in now. But Lena was already reaching for her radio again. Static. Nothing but static. The dog began pacing nervously between them and the tunnel mouth, barking in sharp bursts toward the slope at the side. The same direction it had tried to lead them earlier. It stopped, turned, and barked again, even louder. Lena, it wants us to go that way, Mia said. Whatever's happening inside? A roar like bending metal erupted from the tunnel, louder than before. The entire arch groaned. The dog bolted toward the slope, then turned back with a growl so intense Mia felt it in her stomach. Something was about to give, and the stray knew it. The metal groan from inside the tunnel didn't fade. It deepened. A drawn-out, twisting sound, like a giant exhaling under crushing weight. Lena had heard collapsing structures before, during disaster response training. This sound was dangerously close to that. She took one involuntary step backward. The stray dog darted up the side slope again, barking in a frantic rhythm. 3 sharp barks, a pause, then 2 more. A pattern, a call, a demand. Mia pointed toward it, voice trembling now. Lena, that's not random. It wants us off the roadway. Before Lena could respond, the radio, dead moments ago, screeched back to life with a violent burst of static, followed by a single distorted phrase. Nell, collapse, stay Then silence again. Mia's face drained of color. Did that just say, collapse? Lena didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the tunnel mouth. The shadows inside shifted, not from movement but from dust rising in slow, ominous waves. As if the tunnel were breathing. A new vibration rolled beneath their boots. The dog whipped back toward them, growling now, not at them, but for them. It snapped its jaws at the air, urging them to move, its paws digging into the dirt as it bounced anxiously from side to side. Okay, Mia finally shouted, breaking the tension. We're going, Lena hesitated. Years of training telling her to assess, confirm, check protocols. But something deeper, older than training, stirred in her chest. A primal instinct. Fine, she murmured. We follow him. The dog didn't wait. It bolted up the slope, glancing back just long enough to ensure they were behind him. The slope was narrow and dusty, a path carved by runoff and forgotten by the city. Dry weeds brushed their legs as they climbed. The tunnel entrance fell below them, shrinking as they gained height, until they had a vantage point looking down at the concrete arch. And then they saw it. A hairline fracture ran across the top of the tunnel, barely visible in the dim yellow light. Dust leaked from it like smoke. Another tremor made the crack widen, slowly, silently, like a wound tearing open. "Oh my God," Mia whispered. Lena exhaled sharply. "If we had walked into that—" They didn't finish the sentence. The dog stood ahead, chest heaving, staring at them as if waiting for acknowledgement. "Do you see it now? Do you understand?" Then, its ears perked. It turned, barking sharply toward the back of the slope, away from the tunnel entirely. "What now?" Mia asked, adrenaline building again. The dog pushed forward, nose low, tail stiff. Lena followed, sweeping her flashlight across the ground. The beam caught something. A piece of torn fabric. A flashlight. A trail of disturbed dirt leading down the other side of the slope. Mia's breath caught. "Lena, someone was here." The dog lowered itself, sniffing the trail with a trembling intensity. It wasn't just warning them about the tunnel. It was trying to lead them to someone. And whatever happened next wasn't just about danger. It was about survival. The night air shifted, cooler, heavier, as Lena swung her flashlight across the torn fabric. It fluttered weakly in the breeze, snagged on a thorn bush. Dark stains marked the edge, dried, old, but unmistakably blood. Mia crouched, reaching out but stopping just short of touching it. "This didn't just blow here," she murmured. "Someone dragged themselves through." The dog pressed its nose against the dirt, inhaling deeply. Its ribs expanded, then contracted with sharp urgency. It walked forward a few paces, stopped, barked twice, short, clipped, then looked back at them. "He's tracking," Lena said softly. "He's actually tracking someone." "But he's a stray," Mia whispered. "How does he even know?" Before she could finish, the dog emitted a low whine and pushed further down the slope, its paws sliding on loose gravel. Its tail wasn't wagging. It wasn't excited. It was tense, rigid. This wasn't aimless behavior. This was purpose. They followed him into the narrow ravine on the other side of the slope. The path was steep, dug out by years of erosion. Dry roots twisted through the soil overhead, forming a tangled canopy. The beam of Lena's flashlight trembled across the dirt as she stepped carefully. The dog sped ahead, stopping only when the officers lagged too far behind. Each time, it would pivot back, barking softly, as if urging them to hurry. Then the smell hit them, metallic, oily. The scent of fuel mixed with earth. Mia covered her nose. "Do you smell that?" "It's like gasoline," Lena nodded. "And something else. Burnt rubber. Maybe a vehicle." The dog bolted again, barking madly now. The ravine widened, and Lena lifted her flashlight, then froze. At the bottom of the slope, partially hidden behind thick brush, lay an upturned car. Its undercarriage faced them, one wheel still spinning faintly in the night breeze. Glass shards glittered in the dirt like tiny stars. "Oh no!" Mia gasped. "How long has that been there?" Lena's throat tightened. "Long enough that no one found it." The dog skidded to the base of the wreck, paws scraping against metal. It barked, loud, sharp, insistent. Then it wedged its head toward the shattered driver's side window, whining with a desperation that made Mia's heart pound. "Lena," Mia said, voice cracking. "There's someone in there." Lena dropped to her knees beside the wreck. Her flashlight beam cut through the broken window. A hand, pale, motionless, pinned under the collapsed dashboard. "Oh God!" Lena pressed closer, voice steadying into duty mode. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" A faint sound drifted out. Not a word. Just a breath. A soft, ragged exhale. Mia's eyes widened. He's alive. The dog barked again, louder than ever, pawing at the metal as though trying to dig the man out with its bare claws. Lena tried her radio. Static. Again. Nothing. She clenched her jaw. "We can't call it in. We're on our own." Mia looked at the trembling dog. "No," she whispered. "We're not." The dog turned toward them slowly, its amber eyes burning with urgency, almost pleading. It had led them here. It had known. And now, it begged them to save the man before the earth shifted again. The man trapped inside the overturned car let out another faint groan, barely audible, like a whisper dragged across broken glass. It was the kind of sound that meant he didn't have much time left. Lena forced herself into focus. "Mia, we need to assess him. See if we can get this door open." The dog barked sharply, circling the car twice, then planting itself beside the crushed driver's side pillar. Its body was shaking, not from fear, but from sheer adrenaline. Mia scanned the area. "The ground's unstable. Look at the soil. It's loose. If the slope above shifts again—" As if summoned by her words, a small rumble echoed from the hillside. Pebbles rattled down, bouncing off the wreck with soft, ominous clicks. The dog recoiled, growling at the slope. "It's reacting to the tremors," Mia said. "It knows when they're coming." Lena didn't doubt it. Not anymore. She crawled closer, angling her flashlight into the cabin. The interior was mangled. Airbags deployed, dashboard crushed inward. The driver, a man in his late 40s, was slumped sideways, his seatbelt twisted like a knife across his chest. His leg was pinned under metal, blood soaking the floorboard. "Sir, stay with me," Lena said firmly. "We're going to get you out." The man's lips moved. She leaned in. "Don't go tunnel," he rasped, barely forming the words. Mia and Lena exchanged a glance. He knew. He'd been heading toward the tunnel, too. Before they could ask anything else, the ground trembled again, this time stronger. The whole ravine seemed to vibrate, sending dust cascading from the slope like a slow avalanche. The dog rushed toward the officers, barking furiously, pushing its head against Lena's shoulder as if trying to shove her away from the car. Mia steadied herself. "It's warning us again." "Lena, we really don't have time. This whole area might go." "Then we move fast." Lena gripped the crumpled door frame. Her gloved hands slipped on dust and old gasoline. But she dug her boots into the dirt and pulled. Metal groaned. The frame budged half an inch, then stopped. "Damn it!" Lena hissed. The dog barked, the kind of bark that carried desperation. It ran to the passenger side, dug at the soil, then rushed back as if showing them a better angle. "Over there," Mia pointed. "The passenger side isn't crushed as badly. Maybe we can access him from the back." They scrambled around the wreck, boots sliding on the loose ground. Mia knelt by the shattered rear window. "I think I can crawl in." "That's dangerous," Lena warned. But Mia was already lowering herself inside, careful not to shift the delicate balance of twisted metal. The dog paced anxiously at her feet, whining, claws scraping against the car as if begging her to hurry. Inside, the smell of blood and gasoline was suffocating. Mia squeezed between the seats, reaching the driver. His pulse was faint, his breath shallow. "Lena, he's fading." Outside, another tremor rolled underneath them, stronger, longer. The dog barked at the slope, then howled, a long, trembling sound that cut straight through the night. The earth beneath their feet wasn't just unstable. It was telling them a deadline, and the dog was the only one who understood how close that deadline was. Mia steadied herself inside the wreck, one hand braced on the collapsed dashboard, the other gripping the driver's wrist to monitor his pulse. It was faint, uneven, but there. "Stay with me," she urged softly. "Tell me what happened." The man's eyelids fluttered. Blood streaked his temple, dripping slowly along the curve of his jaw. His breathing hitched as he fought to form words. "Tunnel," he rasped again. "It's not safe." Outside, Lena maneuvered to the other side, gripping a bent door frame to keep the car from shifting. The ground had stopped trembling for now, but the silence felt worse, like the earth was holding its breath. The dog stood beside her, ears rigid, body angled toward the tunnel entrance far above them, as if it were listening to something too distant for human ears. "What about the tunnel?" Mia asked, leaning closer. The man swallowed with effort. I work maintenance. Structural. I reported a breach weeks ago." He coughed, pain ripping through his chest. "No one listened. It got worse." Lena's stomach twisted. "He's saying the tunnel's compromised." The man nodded weakly. "Tonight, I was driving to inspect it myself. Before shift change. Heard metal, felt shaking. My tire caught the edge of the cracked pavement." His breath trembled. "Car rolled before I reached it." Mia clenched her jaw. "So the tunnel's collapsing." The man's eyes widened with fear. "Any minute." Before Lena could react, the dog suddenly spun toward the slope. Ears pinned, tail stiff. Its growl deep and vibrating through the dirt. A second later, the ground trembled again, this time harder. Loose rocks tumbled, soil cracked, dust plumed upward. "Lena!" Mia shouted. "We don't have long!" The dog barked fiercely at them, taking several backward steps towards safer ground, urging them with every ounce of its being. But Lena wasn't leaving without the man. "Mia! We're getting him out! Now!" Mia eased herself deeper into the wreck, repositioning to untangle the man's pinned leg. The dashboard had collapsed at an angle, trapping him like a vice. "Count with me," she said. 1, 2, 3. Lena pulled from the outside, while Mia shoved from within. Metal shrieked, groaned, and then shifted, just enough. The man cried out as his legs slid free. Blood drenched his pant leg, but he was no longer pinned. "We got him!" Mia gasped. The ground answered with a violent jolt, strong enough to rattle their bones. Above them, somewhere in the darkness, a deafening crack split through the night. A deep, wrenching, catastrophic sound. The sound of a structure giving way. The dog let out a frantic bark, spinning toward the tunnel entrance. Lena's heart stopped. The tunnel was starting to collapse. And they were in the worst possible place when it happened. The sound that tore through the ravine didn't resemble anything natural. It was deep, metallic, and angry. A violent grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr earth. Lena looked up just in time to see a massive plume of dust shoot out of the tunnel mouth, like smoke from an explosion. "Oh God! Mia, it's happening!" The dog reacted first. It bolted up the incline a few steps, barking furiously downward at them, its entire body rigid, screaming urgency. It wasn't warning anymore. It was commanding them. Mia maneuvered herself out of the wreck, pushing backward through the shattered window. She gasped as the night air hit her face, thick with dust drifting from above. "We need to move now!" she yelled. The injured man groaned in pain as Lena and Mia lifted him out together, his weight sagging heavily between them. Every movement made him wince. But there was no time for gentleness. Not when the ground rolled again beneath their boots. Not when another thunderous crack shook loose debris from the slope. Not when the dog's barking had turned into a sharp, panicked howl. "Up the slope," Lena ordered. The incline was steep, the soil unstable. Every step sent sand sliding under their boots. Mia gritted her teeth, supporting the man's right side while Lena hauled his left arm over her shoulder. The dog sprinted ahead, then dashed back down, then sprinted ahead again, creating a frantic path, showing them where the soil held firm, where it sloped dangerously, where stones could give way. It wasn't just guiding. It was reading the ground, It was choosing the safest line through chaos. A new tremor hit. This one was violent. The ravine shook so hard, Lena nearly lost her footing. The man collapsed against them with a cry. Rocks cascaded from the ridge above, clattering around them like hailstones. Mia screamed, "Go! Go!" They pushed forward. Lena's lungs burned. Sweat and dust clung to her face. The injured man's breaths came ragged, too faint to hear over the deafening rumble growing behind them. Then, a blast of wind hit them from the tunnel's direction as the structure finally gave way. A monstrous collapse thundered through the night. Concrete and rebar snapping, walls caving, the hillside convulsing under the force. The sound swallowed everything. It was as if the earth itself were splitting open. The dog didn't look back. It lunged up the last stretch of slope, then whirled around, barking desperately for them to follow. Lena and Mia doubled their pace, dragging the man upward. Dust shot across the ravine in a choking wave as the tunnel imploded. Chunks of concrete rolled like boulders. Soil sheared off in huge sheets. The earth buckled beneath the collapsing roadway. One misstep and they'd be buried alive. "Almost there!" Lena shouted. The dog yelped, a sharp, terrified sound, then planted itself at the top of the rise, paws digging into the dirt, urging them with every fiber of its being. Lena and Mia heaved the injured man over the final lip of the slope, just as a massive slab of concrete crushed the space where they had stood seconds earlier. They all fell forward into the brush, coughing, trembling, the night spinning around them. Silence followed. Thick, heavy, unnatural. The tunnel was gone, and they had survived it only because a stray dog refused to let them walk into death. For several seconds, no one moved. The air was thick with dust, drifting like fog after a battlefield. Lena coughed hard, trying to clear her lungs, while Mia shielded the injured man's head from falling debris. The dog was the first to recover. It shook the dust off its coat, then immediately ran to Lena, whining sharply, nudging her arm with its nose, not to comfort her, but to push her back toward the injured man. "We're okay. We're okay," Lena breathed, though her voice trembled. The dog barked once, loud, urgent. Mia looked down at the man collapsed between them. His breathing was shallow, his eyes unfocused. The escape had drained what little strength he had left. "We need to get him out of this ravine," Mia said, panic flickering in her voice. "If another section falls—" Lena didn't wait for the rest. She hooked her arms beneath the man's shoulders. Mia moved to support his legs. Together, they lifted him slowly, trying not to jar the injuries too much. The dog trotted ahead, stopping every few steps to look back, ensuring they were following. Its tail was low, ears pinned in concentration. Every movement radiated purpose. A light breeze cut through the dust, revealing a narrow path hugging the hillside. Mia squinted. "Is that a service trail?" Lena nodded. "Probably used for maintenance. If we follow it," the dog barked, as if to confirm. They moved as quickly as they dared. The man drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling incoherent fragments. Beam, cracked, warned them, too late. "Just stay with us," Mia whispered. "We've got you." Halfway up the trail, the ground trembled again, but less violently this time. A distant rumble echoed across the ridge as the last pieces of the tunnel collapsed. The dog froze, listening, then pressed closer to them, almost herding them up the remaining distance. When they finally reached a flat patch of ground near the road level, Lena lowered the man gently. Her arms shook from exertion, and her chest burned from dust. Mia leaned over him, feeling for a pulse. "It's weak," she whispered. "But he's alive." The dog sat beside them, panting hard, eyes fixed on the man as if guarding him. For the first time, Lena placed her hand on the stray's back. Its fur was rough, tangled, scarred, but warm, alive, steady. "You saved him," she murmured. "You saved all of us." The dog blinked slowly, leaning into her touch, not for affection, but as if acknowledging the truth she spoke. They weren't alone out here. Not tonight. The world was still rumbling in the distance, faint aftershocks rolling through the hills like low thunder. The night air had turned gritty, heavy with powdered concrete and unsettled earth. Lena wiped a dark smear of dust from her cheek. "We have to get him to the road. Paramedics can't reach us here," Mia nodded, looping the injured man's arm over her shoulder again. He groaned, eyelids fluttering. "We're almost there," she whispered. "Hold on." The dog had already moved ahead, nose low, tail stiff, scouting. It stopped at the edge of the brush and looked back, giving a sharp bark. The path forward was narrow and uneven, zigzagging toward the highway above. They began the climb. Loose dirt slid under their boots. Roots jabbed through the ground. Every few steps, the injured man sagged, nearly dragging them down. Mia gritted her teeth, muscles trembling under the strain. Halfway up, the earth shuddered again, unexpectedly strong. Mia's foot slipped. She lurched sideways, her boot skidding over the edge of the slope. The man's weight pulled her farther, the ground crumbling beneath her heel. "Maye!" Lena lunged for her arm, but missed by inches. Mia slid downward, scrabbling for a hold, her fingers clawing at dirt that refused to hold. The injured man groaned as his body dragged her faster. Then a blur of tan fur shot past Lena. The dog. It launched itself down the slope, claws digging into the sliding soil. In one desperate motion, it clamped its jaws around Mia's jacket sleeve, teeth gripping fabric, muscles straining violently. Its paws tore grooves into the dirt as it held its ground. "Mia, don't let go!" Lena shouted, scrambling to reach them. The dog growled. Not a warning, but a raw, guttural effort as it pulled backward with everything it had. The slope continued giving way beneath Mia, dirt cascading around them like a waterfall of dust. But the dog refused to release its grip. Lena slid down and grabbed Mia's wrist. Together, woman and dog, they heaved. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then slowly, inch by inch, Mia's boots found traction. The dog shifted its stance, planting all four paws, bracing with surprising strength. Finally, Mia surged upward, collapsing into Lena's arms. The dog released her sleeve only when she was safely on solid ground, its sides heaving with heavy pants. "Oh my God!" Mia gasped. She reached out and grabbed the dog's face gently, pressing her forehead to its. You saved my life." The dog blinked, exhausted but alert. Behind them, the injured man moaned again. Lena steadied herself, breath shaking. "We're not done, come on, just a little further." The dog barked once, short and confident. And together, bruised and covered in dust, they made the final climb toward the lights of the highway, toward safety. By the time Lena, Mia, and the injured man reached the highway shoulder, the night no longer felt like night. Dust hung in the air like pale smoke, swirling under the fading glow of emergency lights flickering across the hillside. Sirens approached from the distance, soft at first, then growing clearer, sharper, until red and blue slashes of color lit the broken landscape. Mia collapsed to her knees beside the man, her breath shaking. "We made it," she murmured, half in disbelief. Lena, equally exhausted, rested a hand on her partner's shoulder. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. They didn't need to. The tremor still vibrating inside their bodies said everything. The dog stood a few feet away, chest rising and falling in deep, ragged breaths. Its fur was matted with dust, its paws scraped raw from digging and sliding across rocks. But its amber eyes stayed fixed on the man. Then on the two officers, as if making sure none of them slipped away now that they were safe. The first rescue unit arrived, Two EMTs jumped out of the vehicle and rushed to the man. "We've got him," one said as he assessed the injuries. "Crushed leg. Blood loss. He's lucky." "No," Mia whispered. "He's alive because of that dog." The EMTs glanced at the stray with surprise, and for the first time since the chaos began, Lena realized how surreal the moment looked. Two uniformed officers covered in dirt, an injured maintenance worker barely clinging to consciousness, and a stray dog standing guard, like it had been trained for this its entire life. Another team of firefighters arrived, scattering lights across the hillside. The collapsed tunnel loomed in the distance, a heap of twisted metal and pulverized concrete. One of the engineers, pale and shaken, approached the officers. "The whole structure failed," he said quietly. "If anyone had been inside—" He didn't finish the sentence. Lena and Mia exchanged a long, heavy glance. They had been about to enter it, minutes, maybe seconds, from being swallowed alive. All because a stray dog refused to let them walk forward. A paramedic approached them. "We should check you both for injuries. That was one hell of a situation." "We're fine," Lena said, though she wasn't sure if the shiver running down her arms was from adrenaline or disbelief. "Just check the man first." As the injured worker was lifted onto a stretcher, he reached out weakly, fingers trembling. "You listen to the dog," he whispered. Mia nodded. "We had to." "No," he murmured, voice fading. "Most people wouldn't have." He was taken away. Sirens fading down the road. When the chaos settled, only the soft hum of emergency generators and the flickering strobe of hazard lights remained. Mia sat on the guardrail, exhaling deeply. "We almost died tonight." "Yeah," Lena said softly. "And I keep thinking, how many people would have ignored that dog? Driven around it? Honked and kept going?" Mia gave a tired smile. "Probably most." They looked at the stray. It sat quietly now, tail curled around its paws, head slightly tilted as if simply waiting for what came next. No demands, no fear, just a deep, instinctive calm, like its purpose had been fulfilled. Lena kneeled in front of it. "You saved 3 lives tonight." The dog blinked slowly, leaning forward to rest its forehead against her hand. It wasn't a gesture of ownership, or need, or fear. It was recognition, a silent acknowledgement between survivors. Moments later, an animal control rescue van arrived. "Is this your dog?" the officer asked. Lena and Mia looked at each other, and they both knew the answer. "No," Mia said softly. "He saved us. Tonight he's our hero. We're not letting him go anywhere." And just like that, the healing began. A week later, San Arlo no longer felt like the same quiet stretch of California highway it once was. The collapsed tunnel had become the center of statewide investigation. Engineers in orange vests dotted the landscape, drones scanned the damaged hillside, and road crews rerouted traffic while workers assessed what could be salvaged. But beyond the noise of machinery and the hum of construction, something quieter, something warmer, was happening at the small, modest San Arlo police substation. Inside the fenced training yard, under the soft wash of morning sunlight, the stray dog, now thoroughly bathed, fed, and medically cleared, stood surrounded by officers who had come out just to see him. He had a new name now, Echo, named by Mia after the sound he answered, the warning no radio could deliver, the danger no human could hear. Echo sat proudly, tail thumping the grass each time Mia or Lena came near. His fur, once matted with dirt and blood, was now brushed clean, revealing a soft golden-brown coat. He still had scars, old ones, and those from the rescue, but they only made him look more like the survivor he was. "Look at him," one officer murmured. "If you told me this dog was stray last week, I wouldn't believe it," Lena smiled. He was a stray. He just wasn't lost. Echo perked up at the sound of her voice and trotted over. He nudged her knee, then Mia's hand, pressing his head under their palms, as if claiming them both. Mia knelt beside him, scratching behind his good ear. "You know," she said softly, "I've been thinking. If he hadn't been there that exact moment, if he hadn't dragged us away—" Lena finished the sentence for her. "We wouldn't be here." There wasn't sadness in her voice, just truth. Across the yard, a small crowd had gathered. Firefighters, EMTs, the rescue team from that night, even the maintenance worker they saved, now on crutches, leg-braced but smiling with gratitude and awe. He shuffled forward slowly. "I had to come see him," he said, eyes watering. "I owe him my life." Echo stepped toward him, sniffed the man's cast, then sat down gently beside him, as if acknowledging their shared survival. "It's like he knows," the man whispered. "He does," Mia replied. Later that morning, the chief called Lena and Mia into the briefing room. Echo padded behind them like a shadow. The chief cleared his throat. "Ladies, after reviewing the reports, the rescue timeline, and the footage the engineers recovered, I've made a decision." Mia held her breath. The chief's lips curled into a rare smile. "Echo isn't a stray anymore. Effective today, he's been granted honorary K9 status and will remain with the department, if you want him." Lena didn't hesitate. "We do, absolutely." Echo's tail wagged, slowly at first, then faster, like a rising heartbeat. Outside, the sun warmed the yard. Birds settled on the fence. The world felt lighter somehow. Lena knelt, holding Echo's face gently. "You're home now," she whispered. Echo leaned forward, pressed his forehead against hers. The same silent gesture he'd offered the night he saved them. Not begging, not asking, just connecting. Mia looked at them, eyes soft. "Sometimes heroes show up in badges," she murmured. "And sometimes they show up in fur." Echo turned his gaze to the open gate, where sunlight poured over the grass like a golden path. For the first time, he didn't look like he was warning them of danger. He looked like he was leading them somewhere brighter, a new beginning. In a world filled with noise, warnings don't always come through radios or alarms. Sometimes, they arrive on 4 dusty paws, with a trembling heartbeat brave enough to stand against danger when no one else sees it. Echo didn't speak our language. He didn't wear a badge, but he carried a truth written in instinct, a truth that saved 3 lives and changed countless more. Because courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a bark in the dark. Sometimes it's a nudge that pulls you back from the edge. Sometimes it's the quiet loyalty of a soul who has nothing, choosing to give everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because every paw print has a story, and every story reminds us that heroes come in all forms, even the ones with fur and wounded paws.